This is the Decarbonization Disrupters Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Cohen. On this episode of our podcast, I'm very pleased to welcome Laurent Canneva, co-founder and CEO of Spirit. Spirit's mission is to help businesses, offices, owners, and universities access to live intelligence for all kinds of workspace waste and encourage employees and students to reduce consumption. Laurent, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I'm delighted to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. I wanted to get into all the things that you're doing, and I wanted to first start with kind of what your motivation was to start Spirit, and just generally through your career, how you became motivated to be in the sustainable waste solutions and just overall sustainability.
So that's a very interesting question, Matt. As you can hear, so a little bit about myself. And I have a surprising background for this topic. I am French, as you can hear. I'm a doctor in pharmacy, then did business school, and spent the first part of my career in the pharmaceutical industry. So focused on human health, beautiful purpose, right? Arriving here in Boston, the place to be for biotech and pharma, and learning a lot at high speed. But I think two things took me over towards sustainability and planet health, towards that shift. First, an immediate access to nature here in New England and Maine is, wilderness. And second, I have 4 kids, and I was wondering, like, what am I going to leave behind, and what's my role? Is it, I love being, fighting rare diseases, or cancer. That was fantastic. But what about our house? And what about the things that I could do today? And so that what shifted me from human health to planet health.
And then, so how did the genesis of Spirit start? What was the kind of light bulb moment, and how did you get going with it?
Yeah, the funnest story is like anyone of us could start the same way. You're on the beach, you're looking at what's happening on under your feet. There is plastic there, and you're just drinking a beer at sunset, and you with your friend, and say, why is it we don't care? Why? What is the reason, really? And in fact, that evening, say we don't really measure anything. And I'm coming back from this weekend. My friend was an IoT developer, and say, well, let's start to measure in our household, and understand how much waste we're really generating in our household, how much recycling do we generate, and it started like this. So from a beach on Cape Cod to a software platform development project and a company.
Very cool. I would love to hear more about Spirit's mission and how you're helping businesses, universities, kind of how you're helping them gain that live intelligence, and kind of what the overall purpose of the software and the solution is.
Sure. So the mission, accelerate circularity with data. Right. And I'm saying circularity instead of waste because I think 90% of what we should be talking about is circularity. Only 10% of the material we should let to the world should be landfilled or incinerated, right? So that's the goal. And so the problem that any organization, would it be, as you said, a university, but a larger SP 500 or a real estate developer, they don't have access to. The only data they have when it comes to their waste streams is dumpster, hauling trucks, and a few manual waste audit. We digitalize this, and that's bold. That's a bold mission, right? But that's really now you look at a building, and the technology today enables us to understand the energy consumptions by floor, by appliance, and we can turn on and off and tweak things to reduce, right? Water, in a sense, there is data by floor with metering in place, but waste, there is nothing. Like you're one of the SP 500, you're a tenant, you're, BCG, and you have 4 floors out of the 40. Who can give you your waste data? Nobody. So that's the idea. And it's the same in retail. It's the same in an amusement park or in an airport. So that's the idea. How do you get to a waste measuring solution to help organization access to granular data?
And I would be curious to know, kind of given your experience in this, when you've worked with customers, what has been the most surprising amount of waste that has been overlooked or underappreciated when they looked at the data? They say, "Wow, I can't believe we have this much waste in this sector," and then they can do something about it.
Sure. So remember in the verticals in which we are working today, the first one and where we started. So even if we started in the household for the founder story, then we moved into B2B and focusing on first office or workspace, right? In the workspace, I think the biggest and the most the biggest waste amount is usually around the cafeteria and food waste. That's the most impactful place where then, but then there are other things, e-waste, paper, and it piles up as with when organization is large. The second vertical in which we are evolving is retail, and the retail vertical is fascinating because actually you have zero data. Why? Your waste is being collected by a guy that is moving to the next door and to the next door without any segregation. So if you want to learn how much food waste as an FMB you're generating, well, you have your code bar and you have your IT, but it's not enough, and it's directly connected to your P&L, to your bottom line. So really, I think food waste is the biggest topic where we can help. But beyond that, there are plenty of others. Waste that are in the paper and the packaging in where single-use items where we can really help.
And what's been the biggest motivation for your customers to take on this data? Is it mostly, listen, we want to be more about help with the social impact of waste reduction, or is there a specific ROI that's been the main motivator? And if so, if that's on the latter, what has been that ROI for companies that can really track this effectively?
Yeah, sure. So it really depends, but we're working with leaders. These leaders, they already know about the problem. They know. Their chief sustainability officers know. Their head of real estate, they know. So they know they don't really have access to auditable data. Driver number one, accessing auditable and accurate data. That's what empowers an organization to change things, right? Driver number two, quickly connected to ROI. So how can this data inform me and help me improve my logistic, challenge my bills, and understand what I'm buying every day and I'm throwing away every day? Connecting it to my procurement, connecting it to my logistic. And when it comes to FMB retail, for example, directly connected to the P&L, because how can it help me better predict what I really need on a typical week of March? I don't know. It's so. There is one last driver in particular for this organization is the social driver, and you mentioned it. Because for once, waste is in our hands, so it's a problem you cannot turn off and on with an interrupter. Like it has to be the people. You need to empower your people, and this is something that we are doing by displaying for the first time accurate information by business unit, by floor, by office. You can gamify. So you have offices across the US, and we will compare New York versus LA versus Boston versus San Francisco versus Chicago. Who's reducing the most this quarter? And next quarter, who has the best diversion rate? And people are pretty competitive. This is the Strava of the reduction and acceleration. That is something that has been, the social driver has been quite important too. I think it starts with data, moves to really the how can you improve your bottom line, and the social impact is also important.
And I'd also be curious to kind of move outwardly a little bit and you probably would have a great perspective on this. There's been a kind of a recent debate about reusability and recycling in the US, because more and more what we're seeing is we've been told for decades, we got to recycle plastic, paper, aluminum. And what we're finding is that too much of what we believe is being recycled is actually not, right? So what can be done to increase the awareness for reusability? What are we doing wrong, I guess, as opposed to maybe Europe or other places that we can adopt that can make that debate not as prevalent?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a big question. I like, to take the entrepreneur positive look at this, like the bottle half full. First, we have to step back and remember that until January 2018, China ban, most of the recyclables were sent into ballots, 8,000 containers a day, leaving New York Harbor to China, right? So China was shipping the goods and the containers were going back with recyclables. And so then, because it's taken care of and there is actually a market, we don't really need to invest on that vertical, right? And so since then, China told Europe and North America, hey guys, I'm not taking it, I'm not buying it, I'm not taking it, you take care of it. So the entire country has to reorganize their circularity and their recycling. And what are we going to do with this material? This is 8,000 containers a day from New York. So where is it going now? So, and I think it's quite, we are based in here in Boston in Greentown Labs, where we see people only focused on climate action. And so a lot of startups coming up. And even the owners themselves, right now, they're embarking technology. They're embarking AI and robotics into their recycling facility to sort faster, better, to produce better quality. The government has a key role to play as they need to enforce, and have all the big organizations pay attention to their packaging and contribute to the general transformation we're talking about here. But definitely data is, once again, at the center and informs you really well. So I like to take the positive view on this question and say, guys, leaders are the survivors. They're doing the right things according to Darwin, and they are moving in pushing our organization to do better. And data can help you do a little bit better every day.
And so going forward from that, you talked about robotics, talk about some different technologies. What's next as far as technology with either reusability or even data collection for waste reduction? Are we talking about more predictive analytics with AI? What is that next frontier that you'd like to see or you're trying to implement?
Yeah. So for us, when it comes to data and AI, it's always, being more precise. So today, we provide organizations with quantitative data, which is the weight of the different streams, which is the universal measure. We are the only one actually to do this inside the building. And we also provide organizations with a qualitative assessment of their waste through computer vision and analyzing picture of waste, being able to recognize around 100 items and rank them, apply the algorithm of the local sorting rules, because this is also a very complex world, more than 6,000 different sorting rules in the US. How can a user, do the right thing? So you need to, the technology allows you to embark these complex algorithm and apply them to your different localities. So from the pure computer vision and AI, the best capabilities today are where the people invested the most, and where the most money has been invested is in these recycling capabilities to animate the robotics that are going to try to quickly help you sort. That's the best AI on waste image. But we and many others are investing every day in this. So you learn, and an engine is learning by accumulating data, and you need to invest in labeling and all the algorithm development. So this is what we are doing. I mean, more than 25% of our investments is going into this to get more precise, more granular. So that's I think one part of the question. I had another idea, but I maybe if you restate the question, it will come back.
No, I guess as far as, and you answered it, as far as like data collection, how to be more precise, more granular, and obviously the robotics area is important. And so, yeah, it sounds really exciting. And I think what you're doing is great. And in fact, you're the first person on the podcast who really focuses on reusability. And I think our audience will be really excited to understand kind of what you're doing and going forward from that. So in closing, anything else you want to add about what's going on now or what's coming up with Spirit that our audience should know and get excited about?
No, absolutely. I mean, what's going on right now, it's scalability. So, our focus has been on scalability. So excellence in execution and scalability. So we're growing right now. We are hiring. If you go on our LinkedIn, we're looking for engineers. We're looking for sales. We are looking for sustainability, customer success, and we help right now organization deploy our solution across their real estate, and it's quite plug and play. But because we are so focused on excellence in execution, we need talented people to join on board. I think scalability is on the hiring the right talents. And this is critical. It's also on the technology. So my co-founder is an amazing engineer. He's been, leading R&D teams of more than 200. So he knows a great deal about how to build solid foundations so that your model can really scale. And so we don't think there is no bottleneck for from how we build things, but still we need these talented software engineers, computer vision people to come on board and contribute to the realization of where we want to be. And I think it's in, we mentioned we are evolving in the office space where we're pretty good. We can do a full building in one day or across your offices. Retail is where we are investing a lot right now because we're just scratching the surface here, and we are opening the door for larger public venues, which are stadiums, airports, amusement parks, and so that's what's going on. And it's a fine balance between capital spent at the right time on the right people and good timing, but this is amazing. I mean, it's a lean team, but we're achieving a lot right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate what you're doing. I mean, in my 39 years of life, I've worked in retail, I've worked at amusement parks, I've worked in food, so I know the challenges that those places face, and anything they can do to reduce their waste and become more efficient is fantastic. So yeah, again, Lawrence, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it. Our audience will look at it, and we'll make sure we'll put a description in the link to your website in the description in the video. And again, thank you so much. So this is the Decarbonization Disruptors Podcast, and we will see you next time.